Hello everyone, this is Smirin, and in this video I believe we are on building a toy box from scratch episode 9 already. Wow, 9, look at us go. Well, in the last episode we started working on the obstacle logic we're going to use in this box to start dropping some fires in front of the townspeople so that the player will have to try and dodge them. We got the dynamic triggers done, we got the effects generators done, we hooked them together, we got a level starter going that's turned off those dynamic triggers, and I have reloaded the box since then, obviously, so those dynamic triggers should be off right now. And so now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to a couple things. First, we're going to put an anchor logic gate down. And this anchor logic gate is going to be basically what happens if a townsperson hits a fire. So we're going to say in every one of these, we're going to say entered AI, and they're all friendly, so let's be as specific as we can when we can be. So from each of these, we just need an entered message. Entered AI friend is just going to input to this logic gate. Entered AI friend is just an input. I am, believe it or not, trying so hard not to say numbers out loud right now because, as we discussed in the last build, kinda what I do sometimes. So instead I'm just rambling about random other things. AI friend is an input. Okay, and now the output of this, solely for now, is going to be coming over here to this kill switch we've already got set up, and we're just going to defeat. So if any of these is on, that means the fire will be burning, and if a townsperson comes within 2 units of it, which as we discussed is a half block in every direction in a spherical shape, it will defeat the townsperson. Now I also want, because our terrain is actually raised a bit here, if a townsperson falls through the edge of the screen, it will defeat them. But I'm high enough that that's going to take a while. If they fall, and then they're going to fall, and then they're going to fall, and then they're going to fall, and the parachute comes out, so it's going to take a while for them to get to the bottom. So I'm going to rush things along, and I'm going to put these trigger areas, not right at the very edge, but I'm going to put them down 1 block in the holes. So if a townsperson falls in there, townsperson falls into one of these, I'm also going to send the entered AI friend signal to the same anchor logic point here. And the reason I'm doing an anchor logic point instead of hooking them up to the kill switch directly is A, I find it easier to click to the input, although with a kill switch it's not that bad. But B, if there's something else I decide I want to add into the game later that is based on if a townsperson's defeated by a fire or by falling, maybe spawn another townsperson right away. Maybe that's logic I want to add in. I'm not saying we will, but if I want to add it in, it becomes incredibly simple when they're all hooked up to an anchor logic gate that I just have to send an output from it, and it will work when any of those dynamic trigger areas or the trigger areas are entered by a townsperson. I just find it a lot easier when I get an idea to change my gameplay. If I have an anchor logic gate there, it's incredibly easier than trying to remember every possible thing that's hooked up to that kill switch that I now have to find and hook up to this new idea of mine. So much easier if I go, this is the anchor logic gate, hook that up to it, we're all good to go. So we have that. So now we have fires that are going to light eventually. We have 2 drop zones that are going to defeat the enemy. Happy, happy joy. Now, we want to start setting up some sort of time system, which means we should also start talking more gameplay. Because the last time, this is almost a dedication to a 2.0 box I did. If you haven't guessed by now, or you weren't around 2.0, the box was actually for the Jungle Book Challenge in 2.0 and was called Jungle on Fire. And now the gameplay is similar, but the way we're controlling it is very different in 3.0. There's a lot of things that have made this a lot simpler, than a lot cooler, I think, as well. So in that game, if 5 of the enemies fell into the holes, or 5 of the townspeople, then the game was over. So it was basically keep going until you lose 5 people. And I noticed it actually got really difficult really quick, and I think the highest score was 13 or something like that. So I'm thinking this time instead, I want a time limit. Like, let's say you have 5 minutes. How many can you get over there? That way the game's not going to end like incredibly early on you or something like that. You'll have the 5 minutes. How many can you get over there? So if that is the case, then what I'm thinking here is I can base when these fires start popping up by time. I could say, okay, you're going to get, let's say, a minute with just the obstacles, and then a fire is going to start, and another fire is going to start. So if our time is based on 5 minutes, then I give you a minute, a good time, and I have 4 minutes to get these 5 fires going. So I could say I put up a fire, and 50 seconds later I put up another fire. So let's do that. Let's say we're going to do this in the simplest way possible, because I don't need to go super fancy with this. We're going to say we're going to do it with some time delayers. So when the game starts, time delay will go. And this time delay, when it's done, will turn on that one. That one will turn on. So basically 5 time delayers, I believe. Now, when the game first starts, alright, so we're going to set it up. This guy, I don't need that anymore. That was just to test those effects, see which ones I would like. This one is going to start that delay, which again I don't really need to do. We'll fix that in a bit. So I'm thinking, and let's just work on the time for now. So if we do 60 seconds, we do a minute before we start any of the fires. And then when that delay is complete, it starts the next delay. But it also, and as we know, we've set it so if I turn on the dynamic trigger area, it will also turn on the fire. So that's all I have to do. So we've already burned a minute. If we burn, let's say 50 seconds, and after the 50 seconds, start delay, and nope, I just set it 2 seconds ago. Turn on the dynamic trigger. Okay, so we've now burned a minute and 50 seconds. If we go to, let's try 40 seconds here, which will be 2.5 minutes. And I'll turn that one on. So 2.5 minutes, we have 3 fires on. Let's go to 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Yes, let's do that. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. We'll turn on the fourth fire, and we'll also start the next layer. And this one will also be 45 seconds, which will bring us to 4 minutes period. So at 4 minutes in, we have all the fires burning. So you have 1 minute of gameplay in which you have all the fires you have to dodge. That sounds like a good starting point to me. And fairly easy to do. So let's also set it up here. So I'm going to put down what we're going to hook up two pieces of our logic here. So I'm basically going to create, this is more of a control logic gate, and there's nothing special about this logic gate other than the fact that it's doing what it's starting multiple circuits at the same time. So I'm actually going to put a little block under it, and I'm going to give it a pretty solid color. I'm going to give it gold, just to warn me that this is a special logic gate. So what this one's going to do is, what's this button doing? This button is turning the weather vane on. I think it's opening that logic gate. Yes. So we're going to do everything that button does out of this logic gate. We're going to turn on that weather vane. We're going to open that logic gate. And the last thing was an input to the other logic gate. And we're going to start the timed layer over here. And up to this point, I talked for a little bit about the concept of saving, testing, then reloading. Now that I've hooked up these two pieces of logic together, if I ever push a button that is going to activate both of these circuits, I'm going to want to very strictly follow these rules. Now that I'm getting to this level of complication, whenever I test, I'm going to reload. It's just going to happen. So I'm now going to make this button an input to that guy, just to start that logic going. And if we want to get really crazy, for testing reasons, if I push this button, it's going to press this button, which will start this circuitry up for me. So pushing this button will now begin an entire test where enemies will start spawning, the camera system will be turned on, and the fire system will start kicking in. So I think we are good to go. Let me just save this real quick, because as I just said, we're going to have to start that process now. And then we're going to do a little test just to see how things go. Alright, so we just saved the box, and now we're going to cross our fingers, push this button, and begin one of many, many, many tests before we move on to the next step. So push the button, we gain control of the camera, camera's going nice. I'm thinking there's going to be a tweak video at some point, and I want to tweak the speed of this camera. I think I want the camera to go faster, and I also want to tweak the sensitivity of the controls. But let's just test this thing out honestly and see how it works. So I just dodged that, I dodged that one, and we're still in easy mode, so he now has a clear path all the way over there. Oh no. And he's, yeah, boo for me. So the one made it, and the one, because I was yakking and not paying attention, fell into the hole. So oh, that wasn't very bright of me. Oh, and our first fire just started. That's what I was looking for. Sure, I didn't just miss that guy. I was looking for the fire. That's my story, and I will stick to it. So, if I... Why did I do that? I'm gonna have to adjust the sensitivity of these controls. I could feel it. The problem when I use that weather vane pushback system is some of the smaller characters actually get pushed back easier than the bigger characters, and so it makes the controls a little more glitchy. So I should actually turn down those weather vanes because we shrunk the size of the thing. If I turn down the strength of those weather vanes, it should actually work even better. So a second fire is erupted over here, and I've just come to realize that since I did the dynamic triggers in order and I just hooked the timed layers in order, we're really not going to see an effective fire spread here. It's just going to go there, 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 and we want it a little more random than that, which we will get to. Having a few difficulties with these controls, and I'm pretty sure it all has to do with that silly weather vane. Something and this is why you test, because obviously something is not very happy with me right now. It's waiting for him to get way too close, and he just jammed himself into a wall for some reason. Not very helpful. There's obviously a little glitch with the controls here that we're going to have to work on. I think it's not releasing the triggering actor information as well as I wanted. Yeah, because I can control him. Yeah, it's definitely not releasing the triggering actor perfectly, which is why this is so glitchy. So that's something we'll have to look at later. But we've got another fire popping up. We've got 4 of our 5 fires. And let's see. It's gonna drive me insane. And there's our last fire. So let's actually just let them walk straight into the fire and make sure it takes them out. Good. Not that we really want them to walk into the fire, but we want to make sure this is working. And yeah. I have a very good sneaking suspicion of exactly what's happening here. It's something we will work together to fix in the next episode, or perhaps in the tweaking episode, which might actually be the next one. We will have to see. But the goal of today's episode was to work on obstacles and start getting these fires burning and showing up in a timed fashion. Unfortunately, the tweakings where we're going to have to fix the issue I'm having right now with the townsperson so that I can better test to make sure these are placed in good spots where I can still get around them, but it makes it more difficult to just shoot townspeople through. So I think we're going to cut it off there. All the fires have ignited, and we are still moving our camera around just fine. It's just the controls for the townsperson aren't acting perfectly well, and I'm fairly certain I know exactly why. So that's something we can at least fix, which is fine. So, again, this is Sumerian, and I hope this episode has been useful. Welcome to some of the issues we occasionally run into when we think we have a great idea and obviously don't think it through 100%, but we will fix it. It will work, and we'll get back to you on the next episode. I can't for the life of me say 100% what it's going to be on. I don't think it'll be decoration yet. It may be fixing this issue if it drives me nuts enough, which it probably will, so it will probably be on fixing this issue. But anyway, this is Samirin. This has been build number 9, I believe, and I hope some of this has been useful to you, and thanks for stopping by.